What's going on, world? It's your boy Judah, and we are back with another game of emotions podcast. To my left, your right is my boo, is my poo, is my thing, is my wife, is the love of my life.
Hey y'all, I am Shanice.
Hey, babe, do you want to wear my glasses, my clear glasses?
No, babe, come on, let's
Okay,
go. Do we have
all
to
right.
redo the whole thing again?
No, I was just asking.
Oh.
All right, so we're gonna hop right into today's episode. I was just trying to ask a quick question. So today, what we are talking about, we're talking about something that pertains to business and our personal lives. And what we're talking about today is doing things that translate. I'm gonna repeat that, and then I'm gonna read the intro, and then Pooh is gonna give an example from the intro so you can really understand what we're talking about. So, doing things that translate. So, in life and business, sometimes we focus more on what looks good on paper versus the skill set that is needed that will translate into consistent results. I'm gonna repeat that just one more time. In life and business, sometimes we focus more on what looks good on paper versus the skill set that is needed that will translate into consistent results. And Bay, you want to go ahead and give your example?
Yeah, so this came about in a conversation we were having about me planning a college fair. So the college fair was for our eighth grade students, and with eighth grade, of course, they have another 4 years until they go to college, right? If that's the pathway that they choose. So I realized in scheduling these colleges to come out to speak to the kids that a lot of them just were not going to come, right? Especially the big schools. And so it
Yeah.
kind of had me a little bit discouraged because I'm thinking, like, well, this is the opportunity to be able to pour into the lives of our kids, number one, but also just giving them that exposure and what it takes to, have the career that they desire, right? And knowing the pathway they need to take in order to do so. So not only just four-year universities, but technical schools and things of that sort. So I was just, telling Bay about it, like, okay, you know, we were able to have these conversations with the bigger schools, but then they've kind of like turned you down, like, no, it's way too early, especially in the recruitment process. So
Mhm.
then, he goes in to say, well, it's not just about having the big schools because it looks good to have the big schools come out to the fair, but what about those students that um, would like to, have the opportunity to do sales or learn a trade or, just do different things rather than go to a four-year university?
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, you're right. Because he was like, those things will translate into something, right? And so it may look good, but at the end of the day, you have to look at, are you really reaching all of the students, right?
Right.
Are you really exposing students to different types of pathways to gain a career or to be an entrepreneur or
Yeah.
to make money? So when he talks about in the intro about it looks good on paper, right? Versus the skills that you're needed or that is needed to translate to
Mhm.
get results, that's where this all derived from.
Yeah, it came from.
Yep.
Yep.
Yep. So um, I thought it was a great example, and I thought it led into a great conversation, and it kind of allowed me to see, like, yeah, you're absolutely right, because there's different ways of achieving a certain thing. Um, so I know he's going to talk into about, or going to talk more about how to achieve what translation looks like. You want to pick that up?
Yeah. I kind of wanted to piggyback just a little
Okay,
bit
go ahead.
on
Go ahead.
your college fair that you're putting together.
Right.
So yeah, just to reiterate, yeah. So she was telling me about the different colleges, and then she mentioned, I think you mentioned something about trade school as well, or
I
something like
did.
that.
I did.
Yeah, but initially, cause she had like kind of like a certain thought process on how she wanted it to look,
Right.
but like the bigger traditional schools weren't necessarily. She was kind of feel like she wasn't gonna have enough of them, and I'm like, but babe, like you gotta understand when it comes to how this is really gonna translate. Most of those kids, I don't say most of them, but there's a portion. I'll put it like this: there's a portion of those kids that either are not going to go to a 4 year school or a 4 year traditional college. That's just not the play for them. Or you do have some of those kids who are mentally there and able to really do the 4 year play, but that don't necessarily mean that's going to translate for them.
Right.
And when I say translate, for me, translating is okay, does this convert into real life and is this going to benefit you? That's
Right.
what translation to me means when we were having this conversation. So I was like, babe, what you're giving them kids is a great play because you're giving them kids a traditional option. You're showing them a trade school option,
Right.
and then you also giving them an option to learn about sales. I'm like, babe, that's gonna translate.
Right.
That's going to translate as opposed to having, five, six, seven, whatever schools, traditional schools that come out. I'm like, yeah, on paper it look real good. Put it on your resume. You can send it
Right.
to the
Right.
county, whatever. It looks really good. But
Right.
when it comes down to how does this really convert into these kids' real life once they get ready to leave high school, all of
Right.
that is not going to translate.
Right.
So this translate thing, that conversation right there made me, I actually sat down and I was thinking and talking to God about it, and I was like, God, like, man, this is so real, man. Like, Lord, in life and in business, Lord, like, it's just kind of natural human nature to want to do things that, like, on paper it
Right.
looks
Look
like the
good.
play.
That's right. That's true.
It looked like the play, but
That's true.
then it's like when you really get into like really thinking, but where is the benefit? How is this going to be productive and
Right.
effective? You get into, okay, how is this going to translate? And just because it looked good on paper, that don't mean it's going to translate in real life. So this episode for us and for me, I'm like, God, I want to do things that translate.
Absolutely.
So we're gonna talk, give you 2 points of how to achieve translation. When we say translation, translation meaning how to get results that benefit you and is effective and is productive consistently. That's what
Right.
we mean when we say translate. So how to achieve translation. The first thing is you have to learn what the process is because in order to translate into whether it's business or your personal life, there's always some kind of process somewhere. You
Right.
dig what I'm saying?
Right.
So the first step, the major step, is you have to learn what is the process. So learning what the steps are so you can repeat them so you can develop the skill set because it's the skill set that you develop that's going to help you to rinse and repeat so you
Right.
can continue to get consistent results, aka is going to translate for you. So
Hmm.
just for a quick example, for me, when I first started selling cars, I had to learn the process, the steps of how to sell a car, how to get a customer. You dig what I'm saying? And it's just some basic core things, and I've been doing them for the last almost 10 years now. And the basic steps of selling the car is you need to make phone calls,
That's right.
you need to send emails, you need to be texting, you need to be paying attention to your dealership if a customer is pulling up or if the cars are pulling in. Like these are the basic core things. When you get a customer, you do a needs assessment. You find out what they need.
Right.
You find out what their wants are. You find out what they're flexible on. These are all the basics of how to sell a car consistently, and it's rinse and repeat. Like if I'm not making phone calls and sending emails, I'm looking for somebody to talk to. If I'm not talking to somebody, I'm making
Right.
phone calls and sending emails. It's that simple, but that is the process and the steps that I've taken consistently over the years to build the skill set of how to sell cars.
Right.
The second, so the first is learning the process. That's very important. This is how you achieve translation. The second thing, you want to touch that?
Yeah, so the second thing is focusing on the process.
So the first is learning the process. I'm
Right.
sorry to cut you off,
No, no, you're
but
good.
I really want to drive that home.
Go ahead.
You gotta learn the process first.
Right.
Once you learn the process, then you focus on the process,
Right.
because the process is what's going to get you to the translation, aka the results. Okay, go ahead,
Right.
babe.
So once you learn the process, now it's time to focus on the process,
Yeah,
right? And the process is a series of correct steps repeated that will develop your skill set and it will produce results.
yeah.
So, for an example, so we learned the process. I'll use my fitness journey um, to kind of illustrate what this means.
Hmm.
So, going to the gym, I've kind of learned the process. Not kind of, but I have learned the process, right? So, when I do my core exercises, I'm doing, lower body, upper body, um, I'm doing cardio, I'm doing strength training, right? So, what it looks like when I go into the gym is I start off with my cardio, right? After I do cardio, I stretch it out a little bit. Then I'll do some, if I'm focusing on lower body, I'll do some exercises that strictly deals with my lower body, right? If I'm doing upper body at the time, then I'll focus on different exercises with my upper body, but the structure is the same. So I'm not going into the gym and I'm like, what am I doing? Right?
Right.
Because I've already developed a routine
Hmm.
and so because of the consistent routine, I don't do a lot of new exercises. Sometimes I'll do like one or two new exercises with my standard exercises that I've already kind of have in routine and have in place,
Yeah.
and I'll kind of go back and forth with that. But my routine is pretty much the same. And
Hmm.
because my routine is the same, even with the weights, right? My reps might increase.
Hmm.
Um, my weights sometimes they increase over time. And that was a conversation that we had as well in regards to that
Hmm.
and how that translates into what we're trying to do, right?
Yeah.
But everything is pretty much the same. And because it is the same, the results I've been seeing. So my endurance have increased,
Yeah.
right? So if I'm running on the treadmill um, consistently, like I can literally do a mile on the treadmill without stopping,
Yeah.
right? But that's because of practicing over time.
That's your process.
That's my process. Whereas, before I could run only 6 or 7 minutes without stopping. But because I'm continuously doing it, my process, then I realize that I'm getting stronger and I'm realizing I'm getting the results that I desire,
Hmm.
right? So even with, you know, um, just the aesthetics part of it, I realize like my legs are getting stronger. Um, calf muscles, I can see a little bit more definition, things of that sort. But again, there's a consistent routine, there's a consistent process that I use
Hmm.
or that I would do, and it's getting me the results that I mean. So when we talk about focusing on the process is just making sure that you just stick to what you're doing
Yeah.
and you do it consistently.
Hmm.
And if you do it like it says, it's the correct steps that are repeated,
Yeah.
right? Which is consistency, that's discipline, all of the things, right?
Hmm.
So you do all of that, then it's going to translate.
That's gonna translate for sure.
It's going to translate because
Yeah.
even when I'm on the track and we'll do like our different exercises and drills on the track, I realized that I could hold my form strong, a lot longer than I was before.
Hmm.
That's just
Hmm.
an example.
Hmm.
And I'm not super tired when I'm on the track.
Hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
So
Yep.
those things translate.
Hmm.
So that's what it means to focus on
The
the
process.
process.
Yep, that's perfect. That's
Yeah.
perfect. And I'll add one more bit too, with your working out.
Mm-hmm.
So like with the process of her working out, her I just say system for lack of better words, but her system is set to do, high reps and not heavy weight, not a lot of weight. So
Right.
um like reps of 15 That's really the goal to 20, 15 to 20. So when it comes to her lifting, if she can't lift it 15 times for several sets, then you don't need to be lifting it. Why? Because when she's doing whatever the exercise may be, but when she's consistently doing sets of 15 reps for 2 and 3 sets, it's going to translate into running.
Right.
It's going to translate into better cardio. Why?
Right.
Because that high volume is giving you that endurance training, but
Right.
at the same time, that high volume is giving her strength training. At the same time, it's doing two, is knocking out two birds with one stone, and
Right.
that's the volume. So that is her process that's going to translate into running, is going to translate into strength, is going to translate into aesthetics.
Right.
All of it translates.
Right.
And that is our encouragement to you guys, whether it's your personal life, whether it's your business,
Right.
whatever the case may be. The first thing is really learning, okay, what is the steps, what
Right.
is the process. And it is a learning curve to learning the basic steps, but that is key number one. Absolutely, you gotta learn what is the steps, because if you can't learn the steps, then you can't repeat it. If you
Right.
cannot repeat it, you can't develop the skill set. If you
Right.
can't develop the skill set, you cannot get the results that's going to translate. So it all starts with learning what are the basic ABC 1, 2, 3 steps to this.
Right.
And then once you learn the core basic ABC steps, keep your focus there, because it's human nature in life and in business to really think about the results and focus on the results. But that's not how you get the results. That's not how you get the translation. You have to focus on what are you supposed to be doing consistently to get to the results. So you focus on the process, you focus on the steps, and you just laser focus and lock your focus there. And I'm telling you, it's going to translate.
Yeah, that's good. That's real good.
Thank you, baby.
Yeah.
Now, in order to do what we're talking about, as far as number one, learning the steps to the process, number two, focusing on the process, and number three, so it can translate and you're not just doing things that look good on paper, but it don't completely translate,
Mm.
you absolutely must focus
Focus over
over
your
your emotions.
emotions.
This is so important because in life and in business, it is truly genuinely human nature to think in a way of doing things that it look good on paper. When I say look good on
Right.
paper, meaning
Right.
like okay, I give an example. I remember a couple years ago, I remember hearing one influencer talking about, he was following somebody's Instagram page.
Okay.
They had hundreds of thousands of followers, but Instagram did something about they did something like clean, they did like a clear or something, like they cleared like um not actual accounts or something like that, because it was a point in time in Instagram you could buy accounts for followers.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Wow.
And see, this is what I'm talking about. It looked good on paper. It
Right.
looked good on paper, but when Instagram came out with this whatever sweep they did, his account went from like hundreds of thousands to like
Oh.
a couple hundred. You did what I'm saying? But that's stuff I'm talking about. It looked good on paper. It looked good on social media. It looked good at initially looking at it. But that junk is not really translating.
And I wanted, I'm sorry to,
Go
I didn't
ahead.
mean to cut you off,
No,
but
go ahead.
another example of looking good on paper is, and I'll use it more so like in the um, college world, right?
Mm,
Where you have different degrees from prestigious colleges, right?
yeah.
Um, and then when you're getting ready to look for a job and the employer hires you because of the prestige, right? But your colleague can be somebody that is from another university, maybe a techno, I mean, what do you call it? A junior college or something
Oh
like
yeah,
that,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Or a state university,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
And that person still has the same
That's
qualifications
so real.
as somebody that is
That junk is
graduating
real,
from a
man.
prestigious
That
college,
junk is
but
real.
then at the same time, the person that went to the prestigious
That junk is
college
real.
is in so much more debt than the person that just went to a junior college, but is doing the same job that you're
The exact
doing,
same job.
right? The
Probably the same pay.
say it, not probably about it. It's the
Yeah.
same pay. You
Yeah.
get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But it looks good that that
It look.
person graduated from a prestigious
Come
college,
on, man.
but at the end of the day, we're still in the same category. Like they are still in the same category as someone that has probably went to a junior college and has obtained the same qualifications and things or certifications or what
Mhm.
have you, right?
Mhm.
So that's what we mean like it looks good on paper.
Yeah.
But are you really equipped with the skill set to do the job?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because not because you have all of it doesn't necessarily mean that you're equipped, you know,
That's real
to get the
talk.
job done.
That's real talk.
Because I see it happen all the time.
So, and this is why we talk about focusing over your emotions, because I'm telling you, emotions plays a major part in why we want to do things that it looks good on paper.
Right,
And I don't really know what that emotion is for everybody. It,
right,
it might be, a perception. You did want to say you want to be perceived a certain kind of way. So it gives you, I guess, a level of self-esteem, or it gives you a level of affirmation, or whatever,
validation.
or validation,
Hmm.
whatever that emotion is, man. It's it, for you in your own personal life and your business. It's very important to identify what is that emotion that's causing you to want to do things that look good on paper, because once you can identify it, you can deal with it so that you can start to do things that actually translate.
Right,
You dig what I'm saying? As opposed to things that look good on paper, because things that looks good on paper but not 100% translating, that's not going to help you. It's not going to
right,
benefit you. Like,
right,
that's only going to work for so long.
right,
It's only going to work for so long.
right.
It's almost like, if I put it in boxing terms, 'cause I love boxing, it's like fighting the same style. You dig what I'm saying? Once you get to a certain level and you don't have any kind of ability to adjust,
Mm.
and you keep fighting the exact same way, that junk is not gonna translate.
Mm-hmm.
That junk is not. I don't. It's been proven throughout boxing history. Like, nobody can fight the exact same style without making adjustments. It's not going to translate. You're going to lose at some point.
That's right.
You dig what I'm saying? So number two, you have to understand our emotions are not our friends.
Mm-hmm.
You dig what I'm saying? Our emotion want to do things that are familiar. Our
Right.
emotion want to do things that are convenient. Our emotions want to do
Mm.
things that look good. You dig what I'm saying? To boost, confidence or perception. But again, I'm gonna repeat myself again. That junk is only gonna work for so long, if it does work at all.
Right.
And then number three, you have to focus. In this particular context, what we're talking about, you have to focus on the process.
That's
You got to
right.
focus on number one, learning what are the basic steps that I need to learn, and then number two, focus on that. And as you focus on the process, you will learn more about the process. You
That's
will get
right.
better at the
That's right.
process, which you will develop your skill set even more, and that's going to translate. I guarantee it's going to translate.
Right.
So with that being said, that's all we got for
Right.
this week, man. That conversation that we had about her college fair that she was putting together really triggered this entire episode.
Right.
And I'm like, yeah, babe, like, no, we gotta do things. Not saying that we have not been doing things that translate, or we have not
Right.
had the intention to do things that translate. It's just
Right.
that conversation put a real spotlight on just doing things that translate and being conscious and intentional about that. So that's why we brought this episode, and we really do hope that it really does help you and bring
Yes.
understanding to your business, to your personal life. Um, and like I said, man, just lock in on learning the steps
That's right.
and focus on that process and just live your life right there, and I guarantee it's going to translate. Now, to what level is going to translate, we don't have the answer to
No,
that,
we don't have the
because we ain't
answer.
got to answer that for ourselves.
Right. But
We,
I believe that's up to them though. The more work that they put in, and then the more that they commit to the process,
Mm.
and they commit, like we talked about last episode, I believe, commit to the time it takes
Yeah, that part.
to go through the process,
Yeah,
then I mean the level is literally it, that's up to you,
yeah,
because it's gonna show, and it's gonna
it's
have
true.
you leveling up, um,
Very true.
depending on how much you put in
That's true.
and how much you're committed to it.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's very true.
So
That's true. Well, with that being said, that is our time
that's
for
right.
today. We will be back next week for sure. And I think we got an idea what we're gonna talk about next week. But either way it goes, we will be back next week. We will see you guys sooner than later. We are GONE
Gone.
gone.